I'm Blake Wilson. I'm president of the Mississippi Economic Council, and I'd like to thank you all for coming out today. It's really an interesting day. I mean, 13 years ago this month, almost to the day, we were all right here in this rotunda for a game-changing announcement. Mississippi entered the global OEM automotive market in a big way. We had staked out our place in the growing automotive South as Nissan announced plans to locate a huge plant right here, 13 years ago was where the announcement happened. Since then, things have changed in Mississippi for the better. And we are very proud of what this industry, not just Nissan, but the automotive industry, has meant to Mississippi, not only in how it's grown, but in what it's meant in bringing other advanced manufacturing to the state. Manufacturing that in a big way was not here 13 years ago, but is now here today because of the game-changing announcement that was made here. We proved we could do it then when others said we couldn't. Our workers proved they could do it when naysayers suggested they couldn't. Our unique Mississippi spirit made all the difference in drowning out the voices of those naysayers who said it just couldn't be done here. Well, it could. And in this unique spirit today, as community leaders, we are coming together, launching a new grassroots community nonprofit organization called Move Mississippi Forward. As the community leadership ingredients came together, there was a need for a catalyst. And we have done so many times in the past. MEC stepped forward and said, we'll give it the initial organizational support, but now Move Mississippi Forward stands completely on its own as a separate entity with its own leadership and grassroots purpose. And you'll meet some of those leaders today. I want to thank Albino Costilla from Butler Snow, who is my incoming chair at MEC, for being among our leaders who supported us getting this going. Now, Move Mississippi Forward's co-chairs are the Reverend Dolphus Weary, a leader who has forged powerful bonds among Mississippians over the years and who has made a real difference in helping us celebrate our diversity and our greatest strength, and also retired Major General John Wallace. He's a quintessential community leader, folks. He's from Canton, and he was involved at the very beginning in bringing Nissan to Mississippi, this game-changing industry. And our executive director is the Reverend James Hull, a longtime Mississippi community leader and broadcaster. You'll hear from all of these today, as well as our fellow board member, Dwayne O'Neill of the Greater Jackson Chamber Partnership, as one of our state's leading economic developers. I'd also like to recognize behind us a number of people who came here today to learn about this and basically show their support of the whole effort. And as well as Jay Moon, my counterpart at the Mississippi Manufacturers Association, who chairs the State Workforce Council. Jay, wherever you are, Jay, thank you for being here as well. And he's the president of the Mississippi Manufacturers Association. The leaders you'll hear from today will explain the purpose of Move Mississippi Forward and help release an independent academic research report which demonstrates the value of advanced manufacturing by focusing on the economic results of a company that began operating here a decade ago. It's independent academic research that cuts to the chase and comes at a time when independent academic research makes such a difference in understanding the value of this. Folks, we need a clear view of just what this industry means to Mississippi. There's been a lot of talk around Mississippi, but this is clear, independent research that cuts right to the chase. The report, Nissan Canton 10 years later, was conducted by the National Strategic Planning and Analysis Research Center, NSPARC, at Mississippi State University. And helping us present the findings today is its director, Dr. Domenico Mimo Parisi. Dr. Parisi is also a professor of sociology in the Department of Sociology, Anthropology, and Social Work at Mississippi State University. His research expertise is in workforce and economic development, community development, and public welfare policy. So he brings a real unique sense and understanding to this project. Standing here with us today are those who do care about the future of economic development in Mississippi, as well as some of the leaders of Move Mississippi Forward. So we have quite a lineup for you today. And to start things off, I'd like to introduce my good friend, a man who inspires us to serve our fellow human beings, the co-chair of Move Mississippi Forward, Dr. Dolphus Weary. Dolphus?
Thank you so much, Blake. Over 40 years ago, I went to school in California, and when I left Mississippi, I said I ain't never coming back. two reasons. One was economic development, and the other one was racism. And for the past 40 years, I've been working to try to say, how can we begin to deal with poor communities and work with poor communities? And then how can we deal with this barrier of race? And I've seen some mighty things happen over those years. Move Mississippi Forward is a wonderful opportunity to really look at economic development in our state. And when I was asked to be a part of this, I said I would love to be a part, because I realize that we need to deal with economic development if we're going to make sure that other things happen in our state. So we don't want to just be cheerleaders. We want to be able to bring together companies and people that work together. We want to be able to say that to many partners, whether we're talking about churches or businesses, or whether we're talking about community groups, how do we bring people together to talk about how do we continue to move forward in economic development? We want people to talk. Guess what? It's hard to talk about tough things. We want people to learn how to listen, because we want people to understand that we need to listen to each other. And so we want to bring people together to make that happen. So Move Mississippi Forward is a gathering place for people to be able to talk, to be able to learn, to be able to listen, so that we can move forward. The person who's been working with me as the co-chair, John Wallace, General John Wallace, who's been involved in things in many, many ways, and we're going to ask him to come now. John, thank you so much for being my co-chair. Come on up here and share a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Weary, and also thank you for your continued leadership in the area of improving race relations here in Mississippi. I can think of no one more qualified to lead Move Mississippi Forward than you. We appreciate very much your participation. Move Mississippi Forward is an important organization, and it comes at a critical time, as the attention of the world seems to be on our state in so many different ways. As Blake said, Mississippi's era in economic development started right here 13 years ago with the announcement of Nissan. We all worked hard to get it here, and we all cheered hard when the announcement was made. It was definitely a game changer for Mississippi. And our experience tells us that when an economic development project of the magnitude opens its doors, it serves as a real stimulus not only for the local economy, but to the entire state as well. And the Mississippi State study that Blake mentioned definitely puts all of this in perspective. When the Nissan project was first discussed, the eventual plant site was merely a bean field. Today, it's definitely an economic driver for the state of Mississippi. It creates jobs, and it offers opportunity for many Mississippians. As you'll see from the Mississippi State study shows clearly what a project like Nissan can mean to a state and to the communities of the state. We in Madison County know firsthand of this. It has made a tremendous difference, and because of the door that was opened 13 years ago, more and more communities are benefiting not only from the growth of the automotive industry, but also the growth of all advanced manufacturing. That is why it's so important that we keep working together, as has been mentioned, and continuously analyzing and synthesizing the results of our economic development efforts. As my partner, Thomas Weary, points out, it's also important that we talk together. From each of us has different perspectives. And as we recognize the importance the leadership role has, it must play in our communities in making sure we keep our economic development engine running. Move Mississippi Forward gives us a great communication tool, a common table, so to speak, around which those of different backgrounds and persuasions can come together to find common ground for an economic goal. We all have our own ideas of what economic development means. Move Mississippi Forward, moving Mississippi Forward, we can emerge with a focused direction for doing exactly what the name implies, moving Mississippi forward. And now it's a pleasure to introduce a great voice for the future of our region and state, and a true partner in economic development, Mr. Dwayne O'Neill. Dwayne?
Thank you, General Wallace. It's always so good to be on the podium with you. I admire your positive spirit and, you know, your determination along with Dolphus. It's so catching. It's one of those things that inspires us all to move forward, because I know you're trying to make this community and this region a better place to live as well as a better place to do business. You know, we live in a very highly competitive world today, and it's very important that we remember that what we say about our state and what we hear others say about our state really does impact economic development. And we have to be mindful of that and make sure that we put the right word out there about our state. You know, it's also very important that we understand in our region here that we have a competitive niche that most folks don't have, and that's in the area of automotive and advanced manufacturing. And with that, that sets us up in the global economy. And we are so fortunate that we have that advantage. You know, we have a lot of great incentives in the state of Mississippi. We have an overall good business climate. But what it really takes is a great workforce, a trained and skilled workforce, a workforce that is ready to go to work each day and have the technical attributes to do a great job. And in Mississippi, which has been proved by a number of our advanced manufacturing businesses, we have such a dynamic workforce that word is truly getting out. You know, it's great also that to be a part of this group called Move Mississippi Forward. From our organization, the Greater Jackson Partnership, being in economic development, that's very, very important. To know that folks can come together across this entire region and across this state, across those lines of jurisdictions and across those areas of perceptions that might be different and those mindsets that might be different, and talk about the things that need to be talked about to make economic development successful in this state. And we are all about that with Move Mississippi Forward. So for that reason, I know I'm excited about being here today. I'm excited about the study, because that helps tell the truth. This is an independent study that lays it out there, and we know that we have something to sell. I'm also so proud today that many of our economic developers from across this region are here. There's some out in the audience, but there are many behind me, just about too many to go into, but these are the folks that make it happen on the ground. The economic development folks that work those local communities, those counties, and the MDA. We thank you for what you're doing, and we hope that Move Mississippi Forward is a great asset for you. So Dolphus and John, thank you for your leadership, and at this time, I want to introduce the new member of our team, the person that's going to be our executive director. Very, very proud to introduce to you and excited to have him on board, the Reverend James Hall. James, come forward.
Thank you, Dwayne. Good afternoon, and I want to thank you for your remarks, and certainly want to thank Dr. Weary and General Wallace for their remarks, and Blake. I will be brief because so much has already been said about Move Mississippi Forward and why we're here and what we hope to do, but I do have a couple of brief remarks I'd like to share with you. First of all, I do want to remind us that there is a time and a place for everything, and I just believe in my heart that this is the time and the place for Move Mississippi Forward. Our purpose is very simple: to promote economic opportunities within the state of Mississippi, speaking as a community voice for economic development. And to accomplish this, Move Mississippi Forward will have three basic goals and objectives. Number one, we will serve as a conduit between businesses and communities. Number two, we will serve as a clearinghouse for information between industries and communities. And number three, we will help to continue to build grassroots organizations, community support for advanced technology, and we want to continuously encourage our workforce in Mississippi. We will try to listen, we will try to collaborate, we will try to cooperate, and we will speak when there is a community voice that's needed. Move Mississippi Forward will be a community-based voice. We're in a very unique and enviable position here in Mississippi, where the entire world's eyes are on Mississippi right now. We've successfully demonstrated that we can compete in the world's new economy, and we are emerging as a world leader. Move Mississippi Forward hopes to tell the story of where Mississippi is and where we're going. And we will be a part of that in any way that we can. We'll also tell our story on our website, which is now up. It's www.movemississippiforward.com. You're welcome to visit it, peruse, and get more information about who we are and what we're doing. Now I want to share with you the man who is greatly responsible for why we're here today, Dr. Mimo Parisi. Dr. Parisi will give us an overview of what this study is all about. We'd like for you to hold your questions till the end of the press conference when he will ask any individual and specific questions that you will have. Dr. Parisi will also direct you to his website if you have any additional questions. We do have press kits for the press that has some additional information in it. So now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the gentleman who's greatly responsible for us being here, Dr. Domenico Mimo Parisi.
Good afternoon. It is truly a distinct pleasure to be here today and being able to tell a successful story that is so much needed. And just to tell you how great this story is, I would like to share you some of the main results and funding of this study. After 10 years, Nissan accounts for $2.5 billion in GDP, the stated GDP. After 10 years, because of Nissan, we have now an additional $1.2 billion in disposable income. Because of Nissan, 10 years, we now enjoy $180 million in state and local tax. And finally, because of Nissan, we can enjoy an additional 16,000 jobs that pay good wages. But I would like to put this in perspective. Those are the typical statistical and economics numbers. Just to give a sense, what does this really mean? I'm going to start basically give you some sense of how this has impacted the metropolitan area and the Jackson area, especially in the Madison County. Within 10 years, Madison County alone has grown by 20,000 people. And anyone that knows anything about economic development, that is the first indicator that economic development looked at, how fast your area is growing, because that tells you whether or not you're going to have enough workforce to fill the jobs of the future. That's just in Madison County. Just to give you another sense of how this economic investment has made a change in the area, in 10 years, more than 27,000 new housing units have been built in the metropolitan area, almost 10,000 in Madison County alone. That's another good indicator of quality of life. It means that people are invest in new houses. It's also helping in other forms, social aspect of quality of life. Another indicator that can give you a sense, really, this is your real indicators, not those estimates, those come directly from the census, is that today, the Madison County alone, after 10 years, has experienced an increase of $26,000 in the median household income. I mean, unheard of. It's quite remarkable. What does this mean? If you see basically what this means in terms of what it does really to our overall quality of life, we look at poverty rates. 10 years ago, the poverty rate was 24% in the Madison and the surrounding area. Today, it's down to 13%, the lowest level that we ever had in 10 years. And finally, if you think about the unemployment rate, the Madison County today, last estimate that's available, is 6.1, below the state level, below the national average. And what that is telling you that even in time of economic recession, the area has been able to weather one of the worst economic recessions in the country. So when you put those statistics in perspective, you realize immediately that this is truly a good story. And today is really a good way to start thinking about how can we move forward. there are some things that can be said through numbers. And one thing that we have observed over the last 10, 15 years, indeed, is that Nissan has changed the way we think about the state in terms of competing globally and nationally. It has also created the right investment for sustainable growth and has created the condition to have personal transformational change as well as change in our communities. So, in essence, has really changed the image of the state, and you can see that by seeing what's going on around the state. Think about the 2 other successful stories. Nissan, whoever thought that Nissan would have come, Toyota, sorry, not the automotive industry, whoever thought that Toyota would have come to Mississippi. Yokohama, another one. So that's basically telling you that Nissan has been truly a successful story that can really put the state in the right foot forward. So with that, anything else? Just thanks. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Pierce. We invite any of you to make sure that you get with Dr. Parisi and ask any questions that you may have. I will only add that Move Mississippi Forward is intended to be a statewide organization. There's so much going on all across the state, and Move Mississippi Forward wants to be a part of it. Thank you so very much for coming, and we hope to talk with you in the days to come. Thank you.